walk around, but I know that's going to mess up the cameraman, so we'll stay here. First off, I am not John Williams. I'm from the Department of the Navy. He is actually runs the program at the Small Business Administration. You can recognize John because he's about 3 feet tall and he looks like someone that came off the roof as Quasimodo. I hope to be able to answer the questions for the SBA, so we'll come up with two approaches here. If I don't know the answer, I'll try to make one up, or I'll take it back to John. Either way, he will be responsible for acting on whatever those questions and answers were. Throughout the thing, please, if you've got a question, let's go ahead and answer it during the presentation. Make sure at the end of my presentation, if I haven't answered your question, let's get it. My guess is you're not the only one that may be wondering about something. So what does this SBA do for you? They, and in this administration, I can easily say, are pro-small business. They want to help you succeed. Because in your success, the great things happen for our nation. So you've got the different programs. We're going to spend a lot of time today talking about the SBIR STTR programs. The money that's there, about $2.5 billion, give or take a few pennies. I'm sorry, anybody from inside the Beltway here? Okay, first joke of the day. What do we call $1 million inside the Beltway? Budget does, but close. Innovation and accelerated programs. If I move too fast, ask me to slow down. Okay, here we are. Scientific excellence, technical innovation in our nation with federal dollars. And guess what? We quickly learned a few years back that the big businesses don't have all of the answers. Actually, a lot of our big businesses started off being the small businesses, just like you in this room. Commercialization, so it's not just about giving you money to do good research. It's about giving you money to do good research that gets in the hands of a consumer. Roland Tibbetts, there's actually an annual award for folks for that. He was actually a trendsetter. It may not mean much to you, but Roland gave up his opportunities for promotions to champion this program. And that's why the award is there. Okay, $43 billion, just a few engineers and scientists involved in the program, thousands of small businesses. And I think when you hear from each of the agencies today, we'll talk about some of our success stories. 3% of a gargantuan number is a pretty big number. 3% of the extramural research. So we're talking about research that's not spent inside the federal government, which goes out to industry. 3% of that is set aside and must go to a small business. Okay. It's going up in 2017 as we speak. Depending on the 5 committees involved in the SBIR program, that number most likely will increase. Yet to be seen, we're in the middle of reauthorization for the SBIR STTR program. 4 out of 5 committees want to do it a year early. The 5th committee is somewhat on the fence. Inside baseball, but you should be aware of it. The one thing is I can guarantee is the program is going to be around. Okay. This is where I'm going to pick on someone in the audience. So, sir, in the front row, do you have any brothers and sisters? Yes or no? Yes. Okay. Do you all do everything the same way? Why not? Maybe it's, like they say, it's complicated. So there are 11 agencies that participate in the SBIR STTR program. Guess what? We all do it differently. And the only answer I can give you when everybody says, why can't you do it the same, is just like your family, it's complicated. It changes depending on that agency's priorities and needs and directions and focus and what they do for this nation. So when we stress, and you'll hear us pound on the table, stomp our foot, that you must read our instructions very, very carefully, we're serious. Because the federal acquisition regulations require us to do things in a certain way. And as much as I may like you, and as much as I may like your technologies, if you don't follow the regulations, I can't work with you. Because quite honestly, Bob Smith and John Williams do not look good in orange. You're here to talk about the different programs, how long they last, agencies, and the amount of money, and it's good to understand the differences. Okay? So if you do your proposal for NSF and you think you can cut and paste and throw it into a, well, they're not here, Army solicitation, it's not going to go real well. So there's the breakout of the funding. There's another version here if you want the numbers. What's the takeaway? Half of the program is in the Department of Defense. Okay. That's not to say there's applicability of your proposal with one of the other agencies, but understand where the money's at, understand where the niche is. Does anybody understand the difference between a grant and a contract? You don't count, Sonia. Bob Smith's version, and most contracts officers will get mad at me for this characterization, but a grant is pretty much, we're going to come to agreement, I'm going to hand you a check and ask you to do good research. Hand me something at the end. A contract, we will negotiate rates and deliverables, and you darn better deliver what we said would happen on that contract. Okay? Because if you run out of money, but haven't done the deliverable, guess what you still have to do? Deliver. Okay. So be careful as you understand, one, the difference between a grant and a contract, and two, when you sign that contract, that you can perform that contract. Okay, it's always nice to talk about those that came before. So how many people here knew that Qualcomm once started just like you in this room? One or two. Okay. More than one small business was from that graduate that dropped out of college to become an entrepreneur. I'll talk about it. I had a meeting with a company yesterday, small business. And their challenge was that they're just about to sign 2 procurement contracts with the Navy to deliver over $300 million worth of product. That's a tough place to be, isn't it? Okay. But they can talk about it. It's been 20 years in the making. The SBIR STTR program is a very rigorous, gated process. Many reasons. Part of it is to understand what can be delivered, when it can be delivered, and how. This allows us to build that relationship with you. How many people in this room trust a stranger when they walk up to them on the street? No one? Okay. So why should I, when I'm the steward of the taxpayers' dollars, trust you when you say, trust me, I'm going to do good things for this nation? Oh, besides, it's this thing called research. Last time I checked, is there any risk in research? There you go. It takes time. It takes effort. Okay? It takes innovation to get there. So there you are. Phase 1, concept development. Usually at the end of that, you're going to produce a document, and a document only, on about what you would do if you had more money. Okay? From that, depending on how your proof of concept was developed, delivered, and does it make technical sense, you may or may not get that phase 2 award. Okay? In that, we're probably going to expect a prototype to be delivered. Okay? And if your prototype does what we wanted it to do, you're probably going to maybe get a phase 3 contract, depending on the budget, depending on the priorities, and we'll get into those as we go along. It's not a guarantee. It also gives you a chance to grow your company, because you can easily be a 2-woman organization in a garage today. But over time, how many people like lawyers? How many lawyers in the room? No lawyers in the room. So how many people like lawyers? Go ahead. It's okay. Okay. Guess who you're going to have on your team? Someone that understands intellectual property rights. How many people like accountants? Those that you're married to them. Okay, yeah, there you go. You're going to need one of those. How many people love and can't work with contracts enough? Part of the team. And you might just have one or two engineers and scientists as part of this. It takes time to grow. Okay. Eligibility, very, very important, that 500 number. Wouldn't you love to be a company with 499 employees? Okay. With that, you have certain authorities. You need to watch how big your company grows. You need to watch how much of your company you own. Because if you get that venture capital money and they've taken ownership of part of your company, and if that portion exceeds 50%, you can no longer participate in this program. And it gets very complicated as we start talking about subsidiaries, venture capitalists, where your partners came from, where that money came from. So be careful when someone says, here's the money. It might be the right business decision for you. There's nothing wrong with getting bought out by a big guy. But if you still want to participate in the program, it might be the wrong decision. So just be careful how you grow and who you grow with. Hear this all the time. I'm going to do a proposal. Do I have to have everybody on the team at the time of the proposal submission? No. But before the contract is signed, before the grant is awarded, they will be one of your employees. Or you won't have a signed contract or a signed grant. Okay? Doesn't have to be a PhD. It probably needs to be a smart person that can deliver as promised. Okay? Can you submit your proposal to more than one agency? Show of hands, yes or no? Okay. How quickly did you read? Okay. Yes, you may. In many cases, it's encouraged. Because you'll find over time, a lot of my challenges are very similar to my sister services, my sister agencies. What I won't do is pay you twice for the same work. So if you get selected by two of us, we'll have to work through who's going to pay for what portion of that work. And once we do that, we're off to the races. Because many times you'll find my solutions developed for the Navy will transition to someone else. And they'll carry it forward. Can anybody read the Gantt chart? What it's supposed to show is, guess what? There is variability on the number of solicitations an agency puts out in a year, when they put them out, and how they work. So you need to look, unfortunately, at those various agencies to see when things are due. Once again, comply with the instructions. If it's due by 6 a.m. on Friday, you can't contact me and say the system went down at 5:59 and I wasn't able to submit. My answer is, you didn't read the instructions that said, if the system goes down before 6 a.m., tough luck. Welcome to the Federal Acquisition Regulations. So understand the drumbeat of the agency you think you're best aligned with. Okay? Unless you don't sleep at night, I don't see you submitting to all 11 agencies. Unless that's all you do on Saturday afternoons, is put in proposals. Focus your efforts to the agency where they're at. Topics come out, you see an alignment to your technology, you see an approach to their need, you think you have a solution, you submit the proposal, it gets evaluated, and you get an award. Life is good. We each have different, once again, regulations, so please pay attention to them. A lot of this is upfront work that you need to do, so the day that you're ready to submit your proposal is not the day you should get registered for your DUNS number. We're probably a little bit behind the power curve at this point. Okay. Does everybody understand what a DUNS number is? Okay, didn't think so. So there's homework to be done. You have people in the state of Arizona that are here to help you get this upfront work done. Avail yourself of their skills and their services. Another way of looking at that other chart, all I can say is look at the $1 billion gorilla in the room, which is DOD. Okay? And it's all not weapon systems. So understand what we need. I was trying to figure out which color is Arizona, but you're in one of the maybe not top 10, but you're within the top 20 of getting SBIR STTR dollars. The good news is your state is trying to get more, which is good. I'm not sure if you need to move to the other top 10 states, but I'll tell you, when you have an ecosystem that supports you like you do at Arizona, your odds go up. Resources, websites, and there's a lot of them out there. SBA has put a couple of, and we'll get to those in a second, some how-to videos out there, okay, which is a challenge, right? How many one-person companies are sitting in the room today? Okay. How's that free time going for you? Okay. How many two-person companies? How many have been around less than 5 years? However many of you have just incorporated with the state of Arizona? There's a lot of work, isn't there? Okay. So now that I've scared you and you wonder what the hell was I thinking, oops, sorry. It's doable. It gets done every day. It's just called one step after the other. You'll get there. Okay. We're on the road tours. I don't believe we're coming to the state of Arizona, correct? Because you're not one of the 20 underrepresented states in America. You're somewhere in the middle, okay? But that doesn't mean agencies don't have websites that you can go to. Many cases they'll have phone numbers and people you can call and ask questions. That's part of what I get paid in my job. Okay. Some of the different resources out there. It's actually a pretty neat website they put together for small businesses on the tutorials on how to do different things. Okay. Not the end all. In many cases, I'd encourage you to set up get with someone that's been there, done that already. They can help you avoid some of the pitfalls. One of the questions you should always have in your back pocket is, what's the one thing you wish you'd known when you started? So you don't have to repeat that challenge, mistake. Interesting, course number 10 wouldn't have been there a couple years ago. Incredibly important today, not only when you deal with us in the government, because we're highly sensitive to it, but you don't want to be the next guy on the newspaper that's had your system hacked, which happens every day. Any of you had your credit card stolen by anybody, by the way? A lot of fun, isn't it? I've been there, done that. I think that's it for the SBA presentation. It went very quickly. Are there any questions related to SBA, what they can do, how you work into the program?